Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to some video. What if you guys today is another Division video. Today I'm going to be showing guys a really overpowered character build you can use for the underground. So if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more videos, and let's get right into this. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know that the PS4 players recently got the Underground DLC, and since a couple of days actually passed, I thought of making a character build for the heroic missions in the Underground, because if you guys didn't know, farming heroic missions in the Underground is the easiest and best way, in my opinion, to get 268 gear and 229 weapons. If you have a solid squad and a really good build, you are going to fly past those and get pretty much easy gear every single time. So since a couple of days actually passed since the DLC came out for PS4 players, I decided to go over a character loadout that's really good for the Underground. I personally been using this for a pretty long time and I absolutely love it. It's really good. Now keep in mind, this is not a skill power build. This is going to be a build where you can tank a lot of the damage coming at you from the NPCs, because you guys know on heroic missions, if you have completed them, they are pretty difficult. And also this is going to be a build where you do a lot of damage to the bosses, to the NPCs, whatever you see, you are going to be melting them. So without further ado, let's get right into this. The first thing you want to make sure you have, and this is in my opinion one of the most important parts, is a really good M1A. Now I'm not talking about like a god roll M1A with brutal, deadly, and like skilled or something like that. I'm talking about a decent M1A where it does a lot of damage to the head or whatever, so you can obviously melt the bosses. The M1A in my opinion is one of the most reliable weapons when you're doing heroic missions, because obviously you're going to be behind smart cover, you're going to be behind cover because the enemies, if you go in the open, the enemies will destroy you, so you are going to be most of the time behind cover, and your M1A is going to be really reliable. For your primary and your sidearm, I wouldn't really worry about it. I wouldn't really stress if you don't have a good primary, because the M1A is going to be probably used 90% of the time. At least when I do heroic missions, I'm literally out with my M1A probably 95% of the entire mission. I only switch to my primary sometimes, but like I said, I wouldn't really stress too much if you have a primary that's not really good. Moving on to my favorite part is the gear. Now I've been experimenting with my gear for a pretty long time. As you guys know, I'm on Xbox One, so I had a pretty decent time of playing the Underground heroic missions. I've been farming, and this is honestly where I got all my gear, and this is where I came up with this build that's really useful for the Underground. Like I said, this build is going to give you a lot of damage and a lot of toughness towards the NPCs. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you have a reckless chest. Now I know the reckless chests are kind of questionable when you're doing heroic missions, because the damage coming at you, you take pretty much 14% more damage, so it's not really that ideal to run reckless. But honestly, if you're doing more damage, that's what you want to have. So I have a reckless chest, and I've been using it for a really long time. Obviously there's a difference if you switch between like a reckless and a vigorous chest, but in my opinion you want to have the reckless chest in order to do a little bit more damage towards the enemies. Now moving on to my favorite gear probably in the game is Firecrest. Now I'm running 3 Firecrests just to get the bonus of reloading really quick. If you guys played heroic missions in the Underground, you know how sometimes chaotic it gets, and honestly having that 100% speed reload is so freaking useful. Although you do run out of ammo really quickly, but honestly 3-piece Firecrest is so freaking useful, because like I said, it's so chaotic sometimes. You're going to get swarmed, there's going to be a lot of enemies in your face, and obviously you want to kill them as quick as possible, so the 3-piece Firecrest is really useful with the reloading. Finally, moving on to the last 2 pieces of my gear. Now this is where a lot of different conversations can occur of what to use. Personally, I'm using 2 sentries because I want the 10% more headshot damage. So once again, this is really useful if you're trying to do a lot of damage towards the NPCs or something like that. 2-piece sentry is really good. Personally, I've been using Striker for a really long time, and recently I swapped that out, and honestly, it's so much better. You kill the enemies so much quicker. Now the last 2 pieces I would really recommend is using 2 Deadeye. As you guys know, with the 2 Deadeye bonus, you get more critical hit damage with your marksman rifle, so this is once again really good if you're trying to kill the bosses as quick as possible. But that's pretty much for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more videos. I'll see you guys in the next one.